I can't imagine being in a situation where your best option is to eat another human being. It was May 1933 and Joseph Stalin had power over the Soviet Union. And he wanted to create this crazy social experiment. He basically decided to take people that he classed as undesirable, some of them criminals, but a lot of them just did nothing wrong. They just happened to be really, really poor. He put them in these so-called labor camps. Now his two main goals were firstly to just get rid of these people basically. They didn't fit with his idea of the perfect Soviet Union. And secondly, he kind of just wanted to see what happened. He was like, will they create their own self-sustaining communities? He was like, I want to see if they can manage to survive and build something out of nothing. It was about to become one of the darkest chapters of Soviet history. So he banished these people to a remote island in the Siberian River called Nazino Island. The island was absolutely tiny, and you can imagine how rammed it was when they suddenly dumped 6,000 people there. It was shoulder to shoulder, and what made it so much worse was the fact that they had no shelter and no food. There was actually really no way for these people to survive, and things very quickly escalated into horror. After the first night, nearly 300 people were dead. There was nowhere to sleep and take shelter, like I said, so nowhere to shelter from the harsh conditions. These people just perished. And of course there was no medical care. I mean, there was not even any food, so these people very quickly got very ill. And they're hungry, they're unwell, they got very desperate. So authorities went over there. I mean, they definitely could have just rescued people and stopped this whole thing. But actually what they did made this whole thing a lot worse. They gave out rations, but this was even more cruel because this wasn't actually something that they could eat. This was flour. Bear in mind, these people have no cooking utensils, no ingredients, just raw flour. What the hell are they supposed to do with that? Some people tried mixing the flour with river water and got very sick from that, and some died. And some just tried eating it dry and it made them choke. And people were still desperate for just anything that they could get their hands on. So when they were going to give out these rations at the distribution stations, people were charging them. People were desperate to get their hands on them. These desperate, hungry people would charge the stations, and the guards would just shoot at them. Everybody was starving to death, and the survivors were left with basically no choice but to eat the people that were dying around them. They would find corpses on the floor and have to feast off them. One survivor recalled how he had to eat other humans' livers and hearts. Now, it was actually pure evil because these guards were just watching all of this unfold. They definitely could have stopped it, but they decided not to. In fact, when they would see people trying to flee the island on rafts, they would shoot them dead. Within weeks, the situation got so bad, and these guards were kind of fearing the retribution, that they just had to step in. By the time this sick experiment was over, just 2,000 people remained, riddled with diseases and traumatized, but they were alive. And this cannibal island horror actually was totally hidden from the public. Nobody found out until about the 1980s/90s. The entire event was classed as a state secret, and survivors were obviously too scared to speak out about what they saw. Local people now do visit the island to lay flowers and pay tribute to the victims who lost their lives there.